Welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to discuss the concept of price elasticity of demand. Now, what is elasticity? Elasticity is just the ability to change or adapt to a certain condition or situation. For instance, if there is a change in the condition at where you are, how do you adapt? That is what we call elasticity. So we have the price elasticity of demand, and we have already studied the concept of demand in our previous video. But what is price elasticity? It measures how consumers adapt to changes in price. Okay, so when there's a change in price, how do consumers behave? Do they tend to buy more or less? Right, that is what price elasticity measures. So it measures how small changes in price of commodity affects the quantity demanded by consumers. So from the definition, price elasticity of demand is going to be percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. So the ratio of the two percentages that will give us the price elasticity of demand. So from this formula, from this formula, you can derive a better formula of calculating price elasticity, which will be represented as elasticity equals change in quantity demanded by change in price times price over quantity. Okay. From this formula, you can see that it's very clear. Yes, the change in quantity means you're going to find the difference in the quantity, the final quantity that is after change in price, how much did they buy and how much were they buying for the change in price. So Q2 minus Q1. Then the change in price is going to be P2 minus P1. That is the initial price. Okay, that is to be P1, and then the P2 going to be the final price. That is the price, the new price of the commodity. Then you can see that we multiply it by P over Q, where we didn't specify whether we are talking about P2 or P1, or and then in the case of the Q2, the Q we didn't also talk about whether we are talking about Q2 or Q1. So in calculating elasticity, we then have two methods. Okay, we have in the first case where we will divide by Q1, that is the initial quantity and the initial price, and also in the second case where we will divide by Q2 and P2. Okay, to find the percentage, you have to divide the percentage change. Okay, divide the change by either the initial quantity or the initial price, or you divide the change by the final quantity, that is the Q2 or the P2. Okay, so you have to find the change with respect to either the initial quantity or the final quantity. The same applies to price. So this is what I'm trying to say. So in the first case, you could see the percentage change in quantity demanded was calculated as a ratio or percentage of the initial quantity in the initial price. But then we could also calculate the percentage change with respect to the Q2, that is the final quantity and the final price. So which then is most suitable to use between the two methods? I wish to find the percentage with respect to the initial quantity and the initial prices, or we find the percentage change with respect to the final quantity and the new price. Which one? Right. So to solve this problem, some economists try to find the midpoint between the two. Okay, they find the average between the Q1 and the Q2. So Q1 plus Q2 all divided by 2. That will be the average for the quantity. So you could find the percentage change in quantity demanded by Q2 minus Q1. That is the change divided by the average quantity. That is Q2 plus Q1 all over 2. Alright. Then the same applies to price. Okay. So that is the midpoint method. Now let's take an example. If the price of fried rice at OB restaurant changes from $10 to $11, and the quantity demanded by consumers demanded reduced from 30 to 26, the elasticity of demand will be calculated as. So you could see from the question, the price changed from 10 to $11. So it means P1 is going to be $10, P2 is going to be $11. Then the quantity also reduced from 30 to 26. So Q1 is going to be 30 and Q2 is going to be 26. So to calculate elasticity, you usually you are using the first method where we are finding the ratio with respect to the initial quantity and the initial price. So percentage change in quantity demand is going to be Q2 minus Q1. That is the change in quantity divided by the initial quantity. So Q2 is going to be 26 minus Q1, which is 30, divided by 30. That is the initial quantity. Then the same applies to price. So price 11 minus 10 divided by initial price 10. So that is the percentage change in price and percentage change in quantity demanded. Usually you are supposed to multiply by 100 because the after all we're gonna find the ratio of two percentages. The percentage and the percentage cancel out. So we just leave it out this way. So you're gonna get negative 0.1334 change in quantity demanded and 0.14 change in price. So how do you calculate elasticity? From the formula, we find the ratio between the percentage change in quantity demanded and then the percentage change in price. So elasticity is going to be equal to negative 0.133 divided by 0.1. So you end up getting negative 1.33. But elasticity is always a positive number. So when you get a negative value, you find the absolute uh, value. So it's the absolute form of that value. So you take the positive, roll in the figure, right? You ignore the sign. So you're going to get 1.33. Okay. There's a reason for ignoring the sign, and I'll give an explanation to that very soon when we look at the types of elasticity. So that's how you can tackle this question. So you can see that this question we are using the first method. Then how about using the second method? In the second method, we're gonna find the ratio with respect to the final quantity and the final price. That is the new price and the new quantity that they bought after the change in price. So the percentage change in quantity demand is gonna be Q2 minus Q1 divided by Q2. See in the initial one we divided by Q1. But in this case, we are dividing by Q2. Then the same applies to price. So 26 minus 30 divided by 26, 11 minus 10 divided by 11. So what do you get? For the percentage change in quantity demand, you get negative 0.154 and then 0.0914 percentage change in price. So last is going to be equal to percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. So you end up getting negative 1.69. Now we have again got a negative 1.69, and I said we always take that as real value. So the figure is what's important, not the same. So we're going to get 1.69. So you could see there's a difference between what you had earlier and now. So we had 1.33 for using the first method, and we are getting 1.69 using the second method. That is two different values altogether. And they have implication, right? So we could also use the midpoint method to tackle the same question. And this time we are going to find the average of the quantities, the Q2 and the Q1, and then the average of the prices also. So this is how it looks like. So you find the change, the percent change with respect to the averages of the quantities and then the average of the prices. So Q2 minus Q1 divided by, so the average is going to be Q2 plus Q1 divided by 2. Then the same applies to price. So the question you're going to get percent change in quantity demand is going to be equal to 26 minus 30 divided by 26 plus 30 divided by 2. So you find the average going to be, for average quantity going to be 26 plus 30. That is 56 divided by 2. Then you divide the change by that. So you end up getting negative 0.143. And the same applies to change in price. So the elasticity is going to be equal to negative 1.51, which is absolutely going to be equal to 1.5. So you can see that the method 1 gave us 1.33, method 2 gave us 1.69, and on the midpoint gave us 1.51. Now, which one is the most suitable? You see, the midpoint is assumed to be the most suitable because it considers both quantities, I mean both values, both Q1 and Q2. And then the same applies to price, the both P2 and P1. But then the most commonly used one is the method 1, where we divide the change by the initial quantities and the initial price. Right. So when the question is open, we could use the method 1 to solve for the answer, unless specified, unless you are being told to use the midpoint method. So what are the types of price elasticity of them? So those values, the 1.33, 1.69, 1.51, what do they mean? Okay, so you have the very first one, elasticity. That's when the coefficient of elasticity is greater than 1. So you could see that all the values you calculated, they had values greater than one, and that means that all those elasticity shows inelastic demand, meaning the consumers tend to change rapidly when there's a small change in price. So since the formula is such that percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage in price, it means that with a small change in price, how do the consumers behave? How do they behave in terms of the quantity demanded? If they behave, if you get a value greater than one, it means they tend to change or adapt quickly when there's small change in price. That's elastic demand. Then we also have unitary demand, where the coefficient is equal to 1. So if the percentage change in quantity demanded is equal to the percentage change in price, then you're going to get 1. That's our coefficient of elasticity. And so their change is just equal to the change in price. Okay. Then you have inelastic demand. Now, for inelastic demand, you could say that the coefficient of elasticity is less than 1. Now, with percentage change in quantity demanded, with elasticity, we set the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. So if there's a small change in price and people tend to still buy, they don't really adapt. You could see you don't see any fast difference in terms of change in quantity demand, percentage change in quantity demanded. Then we say there's inelastic demand. Consumers are being inelastic. Okay, they don't really adapt to the changes. So for instance, for some goods like the Veblen goods, the cars, the usually the goods that they used to show off, okay, the Veblen goods, most expensive goods, those guys, gold chains and those kind of stuff. When their prices increase, you will see that people tend to still buy. Okay, for instance, petrol or diesel. When there's an increase in price of diesel and petrol, people still buy because they need to still um, move to places with their cars and stuff. And then the same applies to the prices of cars, watches, golden watches and um, gambling goods. So that is those are the kind of goods that demonstrate or demonstrate the inelastic demand, the price inelastic demand. So that is that. So I said earlier that I will be explaining why we are taking the absolute values. Now, for instance, in the first case, we had the elasticity to be negative 1.33. If you don't consider the fact that we're taking the absolute value, we're going to consider negative 1.33 to be um, inelastic because it's less than 1. Okay, but then that's not the case. We use the absolute value to make the right deduction. So 1.83 is more than 1 or greater than 1. So you're going to say it's elastic. Let's look at this question. The quantity demanded of a good reduces from 1,500 to 1,100 units when the price increased from $1 to $1.5 per unit. Determine the type of elasticity exhibited by the good, then interpret your answer. So we have to determine the type of elasticity. So we first have to calculate for elasticity. Now you can see that the Q1, the quantity changed from 1,500 to 1,100. That means Q1 is 1,500, Q2 is 1,000, and then P1 is $1, and P2 is $1.5. So this is how it looks like. For the percentage in quantity demanded, you can see I use the first method 1. That is the most common method. So that is going to be 1,100, 100, 1,000 minus 1,500 divided by 1,500. So the percentage in quantity demand is going to be negative 0.133, and percentage in price is going to be 0.5. So last is going to be 0.6, negative 0.67. So the absolute value is 0.67. And you can see that this elasticity is less than 1. If elasticity is less than 1, we say the type of elasticity exhibited by the consumers is inelastic. Demand for the good is going to be price inelastic. Now, let's look at this question. Now, with this question, given the demand equation for a particular good A to be quantity demanded is equal to 23 minus 5p, determine the price elasticity of demand when the prices of the good is $3. So In this case, we are given an equation inside of the initial prices and initial quantities. So as usual. So in this case, we're gonna write down our equation, then use a different method for finding the elasticity, which we call the points method of elasticity. So the points method because we find elasticity at a particular point along the line. You see, the quantity demand is going to equal to 23 minus 5p. It's an equation of a line. And when you put in different values of prices, you're going to get different values of quantities, and which you can plot to get the line. And so along that line, we get what you call the slope. Okay, and the slope represents something. And so along that line, you get the elasticity at a particular point. Okay, so in using the point method, we find the differential of the line. Okay, so Q is equal to 23 minus 5p. So the QDP is going to be negative 5 because when you find the differential of 23, you're going to get 0. It's a constant. And the differential of negative 5p is going to get negative 5. So this is how the elasticity formula looks like. And so we find the differential, get negative 5. And the differential is going to be same as how the prices, the change in price affects change in quantity. So change in quantity divided by change in price is going to be negative 5. So we are now left with the right hand side of the equation, that is the P over Q. Now P was given to be $3. So you could put $3 into the equation to find Q. So Q is gonna be 23 minus 5 times 3, which is gonna be 8 units. So you put those values in. I have the change in quantity over change in price to be negative 5, then P to be 3, and Q to be 8. So you put that into the equation again, negative 1.875. So that's gonna be 1.875. And this value is very long. So elasticity is elastic. That's the type of elasticity exhibited by the consumers. So this is how we go by elasticity, the problems of elasticity in economics. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. Like my videos, share and comment.